Welcome to Beast TV. What was that? You better get a fresh dip and buckle up. Larry Forrest II, how you doing tonight?
Man, I'm doing great. I'm still using my COVID protection from the day. I don't want you to get it, and I don't want our audience to get
it. You know, I was in Walmart the other day, and there was a bunch of old bats in there, and they were clogging up the aisles talking. And they were all wearing these masks, but they wouldn't move out of the way and let me through who wasn't wearing a mask. And I just kind of looked at them and just shook my head and said, y'all just standing there wearing them masks acting like y'all got something to lose.
That's the way it goes sometimes. Oh, a buddy of mine at work bought me this. And I like it. It's pretty nice. I think he thinks I believe in Bigfoot or something. I don't know.
Well, tell me how your day went today.
Man, it went fantastic. All but one thing. And the restaurants are starting to open back. I got to eat at Boyette's and got some good old catfish and hush puppies. And things are slowly getting back to normal, even though this stupid COVID's still going around. But the only bad thing that happened today is my company said they're stopping my 20% increase on hazard pay.
Oh.
Yeah, that hurt.
That kind of jumping the gun on that, aren't they?
Yeah, I think there's still cases going on, but they didn't care.
Well, I tell you what, if you ever come to Reelfoot in the upper west part of Tennessee, then y'all let me and Larry know, because we will carry you to Boyette's. We carried Mike and Sally there, and if you love onion rings, they got the best onion rings in the whole wide world. Bar none, I'm going to tell you. They got great fish. It sits on a beautiful lake, Crappie Lake, that was formed in the early 1800s after an earthquake, when the Mississippi River flowed backwards. And it's just a beautiful place. Bald eagles, all kind of wildlife, and there might even be some boogers up in there. I don't know.
There may be, and there may be a free meal for us there next time we go. Thanks for that plug. We've talked about them before, and they ain't gave us a free meal yet.
Oh. But it's a great place to eat, and it's a beautiful area, and it's so good to see what the news people are calling the new norm. And so hopefully y'all are still staying safe, and hopefully everything will get back to the new norm pretty soon for everybody, because me and Larry are fat and we enjoy eating out, don't we, Larry?
I like to call myself healthy. But yes, we do enjoy to eat. Whether it's eating out or eating at a campsite, whatever. We like to eat. I will pack in an extra 30 pounds of stuff a mile or two back in the woods just so I can eat good.
Well, you know what? I had a buddy of mine that had a birthday yesterday.
Yeah,
And
Carrie Arnold did have a birthday yesterday.
my friend Carrie Arnold and also John Garrison had a birthday yesterday. And so did Larry Porch. So happy birthday, Larry Porch.
Well, thank you. I feel older.
You look older. Well, I tell you what, why don't you introduce our guest for tonight's show?
Well, tonight our special guests are you, the audience. This show is for you. You can ask whatever you want. You can direct the show to go whatever direction you want it to. You know, within a certain parameter anyway. Mark gets kind of embarrassed to talk too much about some stuff. But tonight is about our audience and about all the new viewers and our loyal viewers that have been with us from the beginning. Hopefully y'all have questions that haven't been answered or talked about or whatever, so we can get into whatever subject y'all want to talk about tonight. And if I don't know it, I'll defer to Mark.
I think you just called me a know-it-all.
That's right.
Well, I've been called a whole lot worse, my friend.
Me too. And it ain't over yet.
Larry, I left my phone in the other room.
Well, mine's sitting over there charging.
Yeah, that's where mine was. It was charging. So I will try. I scooted the microphone over and I got the monitor that my friend,
don't say it,
Jeff Townsend, gave me. Jeff, have I told you I loved you today? I love Jeff Townsend. And
he's a good fella.
He's one of the beautiful people. He really is. And there's just a lot of times things can get ugly and down, but then there's those people that we have met and they're such beautiful people. And I'm so blessed. And it's, people like Jeff that makes the sky blue and the grass green.
Yes, sir. And that's the kind of people we want in our lives.
Yes.
There's enough of the other kind out there. And let's not waste our time with them. All right. Rodney Beasley asks, what did old fat Larry get for his birthday? He got a little bit fatter and a little bit older. I ate good. My kids come over and they got me some good presents that are camping related, like a first aid kit. I guess my daughter thinks I'm going to hurt myself. She did get me a fan because she knows I'm fat and I'll sweat. My son knows me the best. He gave me money. And then I got me a nice tackle box because we're fixing to go do some catfishing and bass fishing. My sister, she knows I love Jason Voorhees, and she got me some Jason Voorhees stuff. So other than that, I don't know. And the good Lord blessed me with another day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's all you can ask for.
Well, I guess one of us needs to get a phone. Are we able to look at?
Well, I'm looking at them. That's where I got that question from.
Okay. Well, I just made you executive director of asking
All
questions.
right, this is going to get it rolling. Sally Olin says, "What was your most disastrous outing?" You can field that one.
Uh, I'm trying to think.
I would have to say it was one of our outlaw outings in Arkansas. We were told that it was going to be a certain thing, and it was not a certain thing. And it rained the whole week we were there. I did get to do some smallmouth fishing, and we were told we'd have a run of a place, and we would have horses, and what else? We could,
uh, uh, um, what's that? Something line, zip line.
yeah, we could zip line and
that
have,
zip ain't nobody been down that zip line in 30 years.
uh,
That would have been zip death line.
you ain't lying. And we could have kayaks because it was right along the river. And most and there was supposed to be Bigfoot activity in that camping area. And we did have the whole camp to ourselves, but there was houses around, and we were misled. That's all I can say. We were misled. And that was probably the most disastrous outing we've had, probably. Wouldn't you say so, Mark?
Yeah, and there was a lot of rain that was going on and flooding. And upstream, there was a dam. And they had to open up that dam. And the water level of the river just rose up. There were people that were moving tents. And at one point, me and Larry was on his four-wheeler. And we had drove the four-wheeler out on a gravel bar and was fishing. And noticed that the water was coming up, but we were fishing. And turned around and looked. And the four-wheeler was about to get washed down river. We had to run and jump on the four-wheeler, and the blame thing wouldn't start. We're sitting there trying to get it started so we could get it off the gravel bar and get it out of there before we got washed away.
And on top of all that, we got stranded from one exit out of this area. There was one bridge that was close to the town we were closest to. We had to drive like 8 to 10 miles out of the way to get back on the road to get to a town. So it was bad.
They had to get a crane out there because there was a huge tree that had come across the bridge. And we couldn't even get across the bridge. We were landlocked up in there, or waterlocked, whatever you want to call it.
But that was definitely, in my mind, the worst one we've been on, I'd say. We did have we went out away from this place and went into some remote areas around. And we did get a couple of callbacks, but nothing major happened there at all.
I remember a boar running across in front of us.
Oh, yeah.
And man, that thing was huge. I mean, it was like, man, you would have been in trouble if he would have ran towards you.
That's true.
He was fast, and I don't see how you could get to a tree and climb it quick enough.
No. You wouldn't be eating bacon with him. All right, let's go on to the next question. Mopar Bill asks, how do you deal with the I'm being watched feeling?
Actually, we kind of thrive on that. Not many places does the hair stand up on the back of your neck but when it does, I find myself grinning. Um, it is an adrenaline rush, and me and Larry are both just, I don't know, I guess maybe we're crazy, but like I used to skydive, and anything, if you know anything about skydiving, there are ways. The free fall is an adrenaline rush. You coast at about 120 miles an hour, but you can go into a dive and you can get up to speeds 220 miles an hour. And I'm going to tell you, that's an adrenaline rush whenever you're able to go 220 miles an hour. And I would just look down, maybe 3 or 4,000 feet, and I would find me a cloud and I would just dive towards that cloud. And then when I hit that cloud, I would just roll over on my back and just start coasting. And there was other things that I could do. It was after you're under canopy, you can pull on one of your stirrups and you will start spinning around in circles as you're underneath the parachute. And you can pull up to 3 G's with this spinning. And then if you would just like take the stirrup and jerk it down just a little bit farther, the parachute would collapse and you could look back behind you and that thing would look like a hefty bag just going. And then all you would have to do is let up on that stirrup and you would hear a great big kaboom and you'd be back underneath canopy again. So Larry and I, we're just adrenaline rush freaks, I guess.
Well, I'm not adrenaline rush freak enough to jump out of an airplane. It's crazy. But how do you deal with it? We take note of it, but we kind of ignore it and try to go on with what we're doing. I don't like that feeling whenever I'm laying in a hammock and asleep and I wake up. That's really creepy, but it's happened. But other than that, if we're sitting around the campfire or if we're hiking through the woods and we get that feeling, we'll note it and maybe say something to the other one. And we're always paying attention, but we try to just keep on trying to act as normal as possible and just pay extra attention to what's going on around us. All right. Spencer Jameson asks, where would you like to research at the most?
There's a lot of places on my bucket list, but to be honest, I'm kind of a sentimental guy, and it's these friendships and relationships that I have made with people, and to be able to share a campfire with somebody that I haven't seen in 6 months or with somebody new. I think about the time, Larry, not long ago that we went out with Rodney, and that was such a good time. Rodney is a fun guy. It was great to be in the woods and to spend a few days with him. I'm looking forward to Spence and the time that I'm going to get to spend with him. And so even though I've got a bucket list of places that I like going or want to go, it's really these people that I get to spend time with and get to share these experiences with.
That's a lot better than my answer. I was going to say the Pacific Northwest. And I mean, that's just the storied history part of Bigfoot, is probably Willow Creek, Bluff Creek, that area. But I mean, that's one place I'd like to go visit and just take in what Mr. Gimlin and Mr. Patterson saw that day walking down, which I know the creek bed's totally different than what it was then, but I'd still just like to take in the area and see what it's like, what's there. I've been out in that area, not that specific area, but that mountain range whenever I was young and didn't have a clue anything about this subject. And I can remember being in all the redwoods and just the mountains in that area. It's a beautiful area. It's run by communists, but that's a different story. All right. I think we'll move on from that point. I almost went negative there for a second, and I try not to do that. Unless I'm talking to Debbie. She says I go negative all the time. All right. Oh, no. I'm going way down here. Bama says, if y'all could have the ultimate night of booger hunting, what all would it entail that doesn't include the food?
It would be a sighting. I mean, for me, that's always my ultimate goal, is to actually see one of these creatures. And actually, it would be in the daytime. I have not had a daylight sighting. And so that's always what drives me to go out there.
I agree with that. Short of the sighting, I enjoy going out with first timers to experience the stuff and just to see how they react to things that are going on. I can remember whenever Debbie and Spencer and I went up on that mountain and that tree come down, I started laughing and said, I love it. And Spencer's looking at me like, you're crazy, man. But that night on that Carroll County Bridge, whenever we thought for sure that there was something out there that we had the thermal hit, and the group of guys that were with us, just watching them was as much fun as thinking we were seeing something, you know?
Yeah.
Even whenever we weren't. The atmosphere just kicks in more whenever the people around you is adrenaline. It's contagious, and it makes it a lot more fun. And I mean, of course, the ultimate thing is to hear a vocal and have a sighting and all that, but that don't happen that often. So I love the camaraderie with the new people. And I mean, it don't take new people to get excited. There's some people that are veterans and seen more than I've ever seen and heard more than I've ever heard, and they still get just as excited. So that's what's fun, is just being in a crowd that you get overtaken by the emotion of the moment.
I just looked on there and saw where our friend Kat Ward just logged on. And hey, Kat, if you haven't checked out Paranormal Heart, then that is her podcast, and we love Kat. And she had a birthday just a few days ago.
She sure did.
So happy birthday, Kat.
All right. Oh, no. What happened to Larry? That must have been when I had my doomajiggy on. I tell you one thing, our chat's active. It's hard to get through to the questions because of all the people talking.
Make sure y'all put them in all caps, because me and Larry done walked away from our phones. And so Larry's struggling tonight.
I'm struggling every night. Oh, maybe I've asked all the questions and that's it. You better come up with Plan Z. Don't get choked up.
Yeah, you're gonna make me choke. And there's one thing we know, that everybody that's on our Facebook page watches our podcast. We know not everyone goes into the woods, but we just want you to know that you're still family to us. And it just really, you do not know how much it means to us that you want to tune in and listen. And me and Larry kid each other that, we don't have these boisterous personalities, and we just call ourselves a couple of sticks in the mud. But what you see is real. There's nothing fake about us. And it just means a lot. Like right now, I'm seeing we've got 81 people that's watching us live right now. And there's so many people that are talking in the chat room, and they're talking amongst themselves and asking questions. And you just do not realize how much it warms our hearts.
And that's what this was for. It wasn't for me and Mark and I, however you want to say it, you grammar Nazis. This is for me to learn, Mark to learn, and hopefully any of y'all out there that we can put somebody in front of this camera besides Mark and myself that have a lot of experience. Y'all can learn their techniques. Y'all can learn what they do in the woods, what they look for, all that kind of stuff. And maybe some of the pieces of the puzzle that y'all are not understanding, y'all can understand better, and we can too. That's what we're here for, is our own knowledge. We're not here for anything else. And that's it. We just happen to be the two bozos sitting here trying to do it. And we got Debbie and Shelly working on the guests and helping out, making sure the connections are right, and all kinds of stuff goes on. And all we do is sit here and blabber.
I see. Okay, I'm going to jump in here because I did see where Diane asked this earlier.
All right.
And she asked how me and you met, Larry.
Not that gaylovers.com again. That's a joke, Diane. Cat Ward, she asked us that on her show, and I just blurted that out and laughed about it and went on. But no, we met on another Facebook page that was Evidence of Tennessee Bigfoot. And Debbie's over here. She just got my joke. She's on a 10-second delay. But anyway, we met on that website, and that website? It was a Facebook page. But we were both in West Tennessee, and I'd been to LVL several times hunting and knew it well. And Mark was interested in LVL, so we met up at LVL one day and put out audio recorders and stuff, and liked each other enough that we were willing to go camping with each other. We decided we wasn't serial killers and gonna kill each other or nothing. So we just started going out from there and camping and putting out audio recorders and going different places.
Hi, Spencer.
Ain't that basically how it was?
Yep, that's what it was with our friends, Mike McSwain and the late, great Stacy Black, and they
That's
both.
right.
But y'all three had a lot of experience at Land Between the Lakes, and I knew nothing about it. Never hunted up there, and with y'all's experience of the terrain and everything around there, it was great. I They just took me to school, and it was great to be able to learn LBL, and I wouldn't know it now if it wasn't for them three fellers, as my friend Rick Wells II would say.
That's right. And Land Between the Lakes, I'd been up there, I don't know how many times, but I'd always go up there turkey hunting. And
Crashing the party.
yeah, you got the audio playing and everything else. But I don't know how many times I went up there by myself turkey hunting, walking through the woods at 30, 40 minutes before daylight, trying to get back 3 or 4 ridges to get close to a turkey or something. And that's why I've always laughed about the beast LBL. I mean, that could be 100% true. I don't know, but I
What?
don't know.
Why don't you tell the audience about your first suspicious activity? I think you were turkey hunting, and the persimmons were coming in.
Well, that was the day I went up there hiking by myself. The first experience I had whenever I was turkey hunting up at Land Between the Lakes, another guy and I were standing at LVL. It's all gravel roads if you're off the paved roads, and half of them are dirt. We were back on a dirt road, and we were standing there at daylight, and it's where Mark and I had camped. But we were standing there waiting for the first gobbler to gobble so we could go in and try to get set up on it. And wind ain't blowing or anything, and all of a sudden a tree just comes smashing down. He looks at me and's like, "What was that?" I said, "Man, that's a tree fell." That's all I said. And he said, "Man, there ain't no wind blowing or nothing." And I just smiled and shook my head and said, "I don't know. We didn't hear any turkeys gobbling in that area." So we got back in the vehicle and went to another area. And then it was probably that fall, I went back to that same area and went hiking in. And as I went hiking in, I got to noticing what I call a leaner, and they were all pointing the same way. So I started following them, and I didn't know if a turkey hunter had put them so he didn't get lost or what at that time. And I followed them back, and I found where a bunch of muscadines were growing on a ridge. And I went up to the top of that ridge, and I brought food. I guarantee you that. So I sat down on a log, and I was eating my bologna sandwich and my potato chips and drinking my water. And I can remember my son called me to see when I was coming home or something. And I was talking to him, and I'd heard what I thought was a wood knock. And I said that, and it wasn't a second. I just heard the ground thud like something hit it. It wasn't like a deer stomping its hoof. It was a lot louder and a lot heavier. And it was close to me. But I turned and looked in that area immediately, and the sound probably came 40 to 50 yards from me, and I didn't see absolutely nothing. And I thought, I'm a mile and a half back here by myself. And I thought, well, I'm going to start easing back to the truck. And the worst part of that is either I got in seed ticks or chiggers, but I bet I had over 100 bites on my body because it had cooled off that day. It was September, and I think the high was like 58 or 60, somewhere in there. And I wore a t-shirt and blue jeans and didn't spray anything, and they ate me alive. And that's about that on that trip. It was terrible. We've got several other questions here. Debbie presented me with her phone. Let me. Oh. Let me see how far back I got to go to. All right. Christy Leslie said, when are all you crazies coming to Texas? Hondo promised could be booger bait, that she could be booger bait. So when are you planning on going to Texas?
Well, we have friends in Texas.
We do?
Yeah.
I didn't think we had any friends.
We got friends in Texas, and we have been to Texas.
Yes, we have.
And I like Texas.
I do too. I don't like it in July and August, but during the winter, it's great. All right. Lane Goodspeed said, could you discuss the history of and your thoughts on Land Between the Lakes as a research area?
You looking at me?
Why are you silent?
I like Land Between the Lakes. It's a beautiful area. It's kind of like a peninsula in between two rivers. And I think there's, I'll be saying the wrong thing, but there's miles and miles and miles of coastline. And the terrain, it can be rough with the ridges and the gorges. And there's some great places to go in there. The different animal species that you will see. It's just an amazing place to go. We really don't have that fear that a lot of people, I mean, you hear these stories on the internet and man, it's funny. Larry and I be sitting around a campfire in the middle of nowhere talking about, I wish one of these bad things would happen to us out here. But I've been to other places that there is a whole lot more activity. And it just kind of puts me in the mindset that yes, they are there, but with this area, there's more the troops are more spread out than what they are in other areas. So it's just a matter of being at the right place at the right time.
And history-wise, you can go back and look in the area of LBL and the surrounding area in Kentucky and Tennessee, and there are some pretty old stories about wild men and things like that. I can't remember the dates on it, but I can remember a wild man story that was actually a really feral human man that was living out there. They called him a hermit. And there's been other stories of wild men around there too that I don't think are a feral human or hermit, whatever you want to call it. But there is a long history of that. And I think that, and lately, since the Beast of LVL story come out, there's been a lot of people that have seen different creatures than a Bigfoot. And I don't know. So far, I've not run into any of that. And we've, of course, got a lot of audio evidence from there of what we think is possible Bigfoot, but I can't say that we have had a sighting ourselves. Now, we've been with people that have had sightings in LBL. They've had multiple sightings in LBL. So They are there. I don't think they're as thick as some of the crazy stories you hear about getting out to use the restroom and there's 3 around the vehicle, all that. That could have happened. I don't know, but it has not happened to me, and it has not happened to Mark. So hopefully I hope that answered Lane's question a little anyway. All right. Spencer asks, Mark, what do you use to marinate a steak?
Well, I use different things. I don't have like one set recipe.
I think he was giving you a hint.
But what I will do is I will take Worcestershire sauce.
Did you say that right?
No, you know I can't pronounce.
Worcestershire is hard to say anyway, and I probably said it wrong.
And I knew you would call me out on it.
Everybody calls everybody out on Worcestershire or Worcestershire.
I take that and some A1 sauce and mix those together. And then I will find like some type of marinade. And I will just walk down and look and think, okay, we're going to be eating ribeyes. And I've never tried some type of like mandarin marinade. And I may just say, okay, well, I'll just mix that in with it. And so it's usually always the Worcestershire and the A1, and then just on a whim, I'll mix in some type of fruit marinade with it.
Always got to go with the fruit. All right, Rodney Beasley wants to know, what was your favorite and most productive outing you've been on?
I would have to say when Ohio was just one of those places, because the activity just started basically whenever we entered the woods, and it never stopped. I mean, the first, I would say 38 hours was the most intense, but we still had activity the 3 days we were in there.
Yeah, I agree with that. From pillar to post, that was probably the most active one. And we've had several that were highly active, I guess, but that was the whole gamut of things short of a sighting.
Yeah.
Definitely. Okay. Bama says, Spencer and I are outside. Larry's in camo with flares looking for steaks. Y'all feel watched. Oh, yes. Ray Dahl asked how old I am. I am, believe it or not, 51 years old. And I know people may check that, but I was born in 1969, so I'm 51. All right. Bama asks, what makes up a night of research for you guys? What all do you do? And that varies from outing to outing and where we're at.
Yeah.
If we're deep in the woods somewhere, during the daytime, we normally go around and hike and look for sign and try to find, what would you call it?
Well, we look for bottlenecks, and that's where we like to set up our camp, or where bottlenecks come together. It's just like how a deer hunter will want to put up his stand where 2 or 3 game trails come together at. And so that's kind of our mindset, that we want to be at a place where there's bottlenecks, and we always want to give the boogers the advantage. So when we can go low, we will go low and let the boogers have the high ground.
That's right. Now, if we're just doing a night that we're running around, we'll drive around to different spots and do some calls and give them time to respond, and then we'll move on down the road. And we generally go to very remote places to do that. We don't do it around anybody's farm or none of that jazz. We usually go to a big state forest, national forest, or something where you know the odds are you're not going to get a call back from another human. And we try to make sure that we don't fall for that. Don't we, Mark? How do we not fall for that, Mark?
Well, that can be a lot of fun. And that's something that if we only have one night out, and let's say it's me, you, Dan, Vicky, Shelly, Debbie, and we just want to go somewhere and eat and go out and make calls. One thing that can be fruitful about that is we could locate. We use it like a locator, to where if we get a response, then we know what direction that it came from, and then we can throw it up on the spectrogram real quick if we have to, just to verify that it's not a coyote.
Or a human.
Or a human.
But we do that a lot. I know spot we're going to go camp out here soon is a spot that we've had a lot of vocals returned to us. We've seen eye shine in the past and had some weird stuff go on there. And we have not camped in this spot yet. So hopefully soon we'll be able to go to that spot and camp for a night.
And I believe that's where we took the Perjersky brothers, isn't it?
It is. It sure is. All right. Happy so far. My waistline ain't met my age, and I hope that don't happen. But that was a good one. All right. Lane Goodspeed asks, could you describe, wait, I already asked that. Uh-oh. I'm getting ahead of myself and behind myself. All right. That's been asked. All right. Rodney asks, will the meet and greet be rescheduled?
Yes. That's the short answer.
What's the long answer?
The long answer, we already know where we're going to hold it. And it will be reserved for us. And when are we looking? Are we looking in October maybe?
Late October or early November.
And I don't know. Larry, I'm just excited about meeting a lot of people that we can put a face with. People that we talk to and people that we consider family. And to be able to spend a couple of the days in the woods with them, and hopefully they'll be feeding us, Larry.
That'd be great. I like to eat, as long as it ain't Cincinnati chili. No offense to anybody. All right. But Rodney, we'll get more of that out later whenever we get it all planned. But yes, we are planning on rescheduling that. And hopefully COVID won't kick back in about that time.
Yeah.
Hopefully. All right, Mopar Bill asks, have you ever researched in southeast Missouri Mark Twain National Forest? And I can say I have not. I drove through that area and looked at it and liked the looks of it, but I have never researched there.
So, Mopar, if you're familiar with it, Larry can give you some homework and we might take a drive up there because
Yeah,
I love.
Promise.
Yeah, I love the Ozarks and that area.
That ain't the Ozarks.
Well, it's not the Ozarks, but it's a little east of it.
Yeah, but the Mark Twain National Forest is pretty huge. It starts in extreme southeast Missouri and goes way up into north central, I guess. I may be wrong about that, but it's pretty big. But I have went to southwestern Missouri, not researching for Bigfoot, but turkey hunting. And you can research while you turkey hunt. So, but I ask about it a lot, and I got laughed at out there. So, but it was good terrain. They had natural caves and all that jazz out there, but they still laughed at me. I don't know why. All right, Bill Campbell asks, didn't someone bring a Brokeback Mountain DVD?
Oh, Bill, you've been going back and looking at some of our old field research videos, and I'm gonna tell you something funny about that. That was the very first time that me and Larry camped out in the woods together.
Yeah.
And
we were within 50 yards of a cemetery.
We were in spitting distance of that cemetery.
Oh, that's not nice.
Well, I wouldn't spit in a cemetery, but we basically set up on the outside of a 18th century cemetery.
Yeah.
And that we had to hike into. And I don't know. It's kind of a favorite pastime for me to go and look at some of these cemeteries up there at LBL. There's 228 or something like that cemeteries up there. And it's just a great place to go and look at the people that that lived up there at this time and how old some of these cemeteries are.
That's true. But Bill, just to be honest, we didn't bring that DVD, and I've never watched that movie and probably never will. All right. Russ 16 says, what do you consider to be the best evidence for the proof of Bigfoot? And I would have to say the Patterson-Gimlin film. I know there's controversy around that. There's past controversy that says it's a hoax. There's new controversy that says there was a massacre involved and a cover-up and all that. I just go with what I know, and I know Mr. Gimlin's told that story a zillion times, and it ain't changed, and the footage is there. I think that has to be the best evidence out there, in my opinion. And I like the Paul Freeman footage also on his sighting, and I know people say that he hoaxed footprints or something, but none of that was ever proven. And you can say anybody hoaxes whatever, and some of it's going to stick, some of it ain't. I don't know. But to me, those are the two best ones, the Patterson-Gimlin film and the Paul Freeman film, in my opinion. What's your opinion, Mark?
I'm agreeing with you. We can move on to the next question.
All right. Barry Browning, our old buddy Barry, asked, what do you think the best evidence is of Bigfoot that Beast has discovered?
Well, it wasn't on that bridge in Carroll County, was it? Even though
Barry was there.
Barry was there. But we have found a lot of things in the woods, but to actually have interaction going on, and we've had so much, and you could just think about the interaction. I think about up in Ohio when Larry heard the vocalization. I think about when we were in Oklahoma and heard the scream, and then Larry, a bad smell woke Larry up that night, and when his breathing changed from waking up, he could hear that thing walking away. And when we went back and reviewed the audio, we could hear something that was throwing little stones, little rocks, twigs sometimes, and then you would hear bipedal footsteps move a little bit closer, and then it would get quiet, then you'd hear something else thrown, and then it would move in closer. And so that was fantastic possible evidence. And the 13 howls that we got up at LBL was some more great audio, because we could hear it coming in closer. And we were watching the deer through the TK Scout thermal, and if you had ran out in that field, I don't think you could have pushed those deer in those woods. Those deer bunched up, and they wasn't going into the woods. They were staying out in that field. They were not going to. It was almost like they were afraid they were going to get bushwhacked if they went into the wood line.
I agree. We've had some amazing encounters that are, besides the audio to back it up, or just stories. The bridge at Georgia.
Yeah.
That was a good experience. But the most consistent evidence that we get that you can share is audio. For anybody out there that thinks they have them on their place or where they go hiking, the easiest way to catch any evidence of a possible or probable Bigfoot is audio. And you will hear more vocalizations than you will ever see them. And you can go out and look at the tree structures, and some of them could be made by a Bigfoot, and some of them may be natural. It's hard to say. So you can take pictures of those all day, and people will dismiss them or they'll explain them away. But audio is hard to dismiss because you have the spectrogram that you can check it, and you have what was the library that you can check animals.
Macaulay Library.
Macaulay's library. You can check the sounds against those. If it don't match any known animals, and it don't match the spectrogram or spectrograph of any human vocal, it gets out of those ranges. You can't jump up and down and say 100% that's a Bigfoot, but you can say it's not this and it's not that.
And another thing about it, you're able to collect evidence while you're not in the woods. And it's anybody that, if you walk into the woods, everything seems to get quiet around you. But if you're able to sit down and be still and not move and be quiet and not talk, you will hear the woods come back to life. And so that is the advantage of using audio, is you're able to capture evidence while you're not actually in the woods.
All right. Now I got to find my spot again. All right. Dana Talbot asks or says, come by Boykin Springs next winter. Have we been to Boykin Springs?
We have.
We have.
We have.
And wintertime is the best time to be there because we were there. We were there in winter. But yeah, it was early February, late January. I can't remember.
Yeah, I'm thinking it was around Valentine's Day.
Yeah, it was still, I mean, it was mild. It wasn't cold, but still, it wasn't 115 degrees. But I do like that area. Boykin Springs is a real good area, no doubt. All right, Christy Leslie asks, have you ever been in the Big Thicket? Any action? I have not been to the Big Thicket. Debbie does not allow me in anywhere in Texas to research. She says that's her area and she ain't sharing it.
Thank you,
Boykin Springs.
Thank you, Jeff Townsend. I just saw what you did.
What'd he do?
We love you, Jeff.
He bought me a steak dinner. That's a good man right there. All right, Mark, do you have anything to say about the Big Thicket?
I just remember Lori telling us that we were fairly close to it when we were there with her. On the outskirts of it or something like that.
I've heard a lot of stories come out of the Big Thicket area, and I would like to get down there, but I have not been. I'm not sure if Debbie's been. I know she's been around Sam Houston, but I'm not sure she's been around the Big Thicket a lot anyway. All right, we'll move on to the next one. Melvin Bowen asked, what details are you looking for in topo maps when studying a new research area?
Bottlenecks is the main thing that I'm looking for. I'm looking for water. Where bottlenecks come close to water, we see if following the waterways and creeks that lead into a river, that's one of the places that I'm looking for.
That's good enough. All right. That's what we look for. I mean, that's just simple common sense stuff. And we try to find the most remote bottlenecks away from any human activity too.
Well, that's one of the best things that you can do is take the human factor out of the equation.
Yeah.
And if where you are going, there's no hiking trails and you're just having to hike your way in, that's what we're looking for.
No four-wheeler trails. As remote as you can get. And off any trails you can get. All right. Let me see. David Marier, and I'm sorry if I mispronounced your last name. With the thought of being watched in mind, would you set up a target for each other to throw at as a competition to see if they'd possibly participate? That's a good question, and I can't say we've ever set up a target to throw at, but we have been sitting on a creek bank and someone would toss a rock into the creek. And from the other side of the creek, where we know pretty well that nobody was there, we would get a rock thrown back into the creek in that general area that we threw a rock in the creek.
Yeah.
And how many times did that happen, Mark?
It has when it happened there at that particular night, it happened a lot. And that's not the first time I have been to that place. Oh, a couple of dozen times. And it's just something about what we believe, what the critter is. They like throwing rocks because it has happened year after year after year there.
I know in one instance we were out doing calls and didn't get any responses, but we were along the waterway and started throwing rocks in the creek or lake or whatever it was, and something threw a rock back, and later we did have a thermal hit because of this, because it moved in. I can't remember if they heard mumbling too. I can't remember, but I can remember what set it all off was us throwing rocks or something in the water, and then something threw something back. So that's a good idea. I mean, it gets curiosity and interaction going with something that they naturally do.
Yeah.
And as long as they're not banging you in the head, you're doing good. But yeah, that's a good thought. And it has worked in the past, just not exactly setting up a target and throwing. We haven't done that. I mean, that might be something we might have to try. All right. Oh, that's info. Still Crazy Chris says, I know up by Lebanon, there has been sightings by O'Fallon, Missouri. She's going back to the question about Mark Twain National Forest. And O'Fallon is not far out of St. Louis, I don't believe. All right. Spencer asks, have y'all ever found a track worth casting?
We have, but
we didn't cast it.
We didn't cast it. And this is why we didn't cast it, because we were hiking in and the casting material is really heavy. And it's just a lot of people put a lot of effort into casting tracks, but what the blessing that I get out of a track that's worth casting is it tells me that I have done my homework and put myself in a position to where I feel like it could be used as a part of a travel route. And so that's what gets me excited.
I have seen some that were detailed good enough to cast.
Yeah.
But I do want to find one that's perfectly detailed with the toes and all. And if it has dermal ridges in it, I would love to have one perfect cast that I found from out in the woods. But like Mark says, we normally go in the woods so far that putting another pound of something on you that you that you most likely will not use, I just hate to carry it around.
Yeah. So that's 4 steaks, isn't it, Larry?
It sure is. I'm going to eat. But I would like to find one perfect footprint that I cast for myself to keep.
Yeah.
But it's gonna have to be special, because I'm gonna have to walk a mile or two back to the vehicle and hope Mark brought his to walk back to the track and cast it. But that's a different story. But sooner or later, maybe it'll happen. All right. Bama Murdoch says, other than Debbie's fantastic vocals she recorded, what's the best and closest vocals you've gotten, and describe it, please? And the best one I heard was in Ohio when we went up there with Kane and Eric, and I was setting up watch for Cheryl because he'd got harassed the night before, and we didn't have hardly any activity the whole night. And about 4:30 in the morning, I heard something from the woods in a voice say 3 phrases, ooh, 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 yeah. And it said it loud and proud, and that was it. There wasn't any wood knocks, no howls. I didn't hear anything walk off. So, I mean, and we've got it recorded.
I wonder why I didn't hear
that. Because you were snoring. I know Eric heard it, and I was afraid I was the only one up and heard it, but he heard it too because his alarm went off at 3:30 to go to the gym. So, but we did get it on recording.
I guess the best one I heard was the one that I kind of named the Oklahoma hammock scream, and me and Larry both heard that, and it was one of those where you hear people talking about that it rattles the inside of your chest. It was one of those howls. It was that close, and it just screamed like bloody murder, and it just echoed all down that creek bottom, and it was fantastic. And what did we do after it screamed?
Well, we got in our hammocks and went to sleep. And not long after that, I got woke up and we still stayed asleep. But Debbie and I also on a howl in the Ouachitas had one come up within 50 to 75 yards of us probably and let off a vocal. Some people said it's a wolf. Some people say it's coyote. I know it ain't coyote. We put it on spectrogram, but I don't know that it could have been a wolf. I don't know, but I don't think so. It didn't sound like a wolf to us live. It sounded more man-like, but I don't know. We got it recorded too, and it was close. And I know Mark run it through spectrogram, and they didn't find nothing that matched.
No.
But that was close too. All right. Let's see here. Lane Goodspeed asked, what is a big thicket and where is it? The big thicket is I'm pretty sure it's a national park down in Texas. It's kind of western central Texas, I think.
I thought it was eastern Texas.
Yeah, I meant eastern. I'm wrong. It ain't western. It's eastern. It's down below Dallas and somewhere off in there. I'm not 100% sure, but it's a well-noted area for Bigfoot activity. That, Sam Houston, and I think they are in proximity to each other. I don't think they connect, but I think are close to each other. I'll have to get up on my geography.
And Boykin Springs.
Yeah. Yep, that's a cool spot. All right. Our buddy Louis Pajerski asked, where are you going next weekend?
You've been there, Louis.
He has been there. All right. Jeff Townsend asked, you great folk, well, he says, you great folks sure know how to make someone feel welcome here. He's the one that gave us money to go buy a steak dinner.
Have I told you I love you, Jeff Townsend? I do. I love me some Jeff Townsend.
All right, Lewis asked a good question. Lewis Pajerski, did you try calling back Larry's Ouya and Ohio experience? And I didn't say anything. I just laid there thinking that thing's close. And I didn't make any kind of sound. I didn't do anything that I can remember because I thought I was the only one awake at that point. And it was still pitch black because the fire had went out. I didn't turn on a light or anything that I can remember. And Eric was awake, but he didn't move that I remember. And I think he and I were the only two awake at that point. I think Kane was asleep. Cheryl was, and Justin, I think, was.
Yeah.
Or did Justin say he heard it? I can't remember.
I can't.
They all run together after a while. So, but no, I know I didn't make any vocal back at it. And I'm 95% sure I did absolutely nothing but sit there and think, is he coming toward me or is he going away from me? And that was probably about it. And honestly, which I'll be honest, my hearing on walking in leaves is not great. Shelly all the time is saying, I hear something walking, and I'm like, I'm glad you do. And that may be half the reason I don't get spooked a lot because I don't hear a lot of the movement that other people do. But if it's something abrupt or I can hear a turkey gobble a half mile away or more, but I have trouble hearing stuff walking in leaves if it's light. The weekend Debbie and I camped at LBL, she grabbed me by the shoulder and said, something's coming at us. Don't you hear it? And I'm like, I don't hear nothing. And she said, it's right there. It's right there. And she shined a light, and it was an armadillo had come down the hill, and it was 10 yards from us, and I did not hear it at all. Ain't that good?
Makes me feel safe.
Well, you keep snoring. You ain't got to worry about nothing. Orphan 97 says, can y'all play some of your recordings? And unfortunately, Mark is not prepared to play any of them right this second. But if you'll go, well, you're already on this page. So if you'll go back and look at some of our field research, you had what are some of the titles of some of the howls and other stuff? I know the Oklahoma deal.
The 13 Howls is a good one. When we went out with Dan and Vicky, the Labor Day Howls was a good one. There is a lot of audio evidence in our field evidence videos. So,
do you remember which one of the Ohio videos the verbal vocal was?
It would have, that is a 4-part series, and if you will go to part 4.
Part 4. All right. Wasn't the 13 howls like firefly howls or something?
Yeah.
I'm terrible with titles. I'm sorry, but anyway, Orphan, if you'll go back and look at some of them, you can get some of the audio from those. And you can see the spectrogram and some comparisons of coyotes and different things also. All right. JJ asked, is there a weekend you guys don't go bigfooting? And yes, there are quite a few that we don't. Now, Debbie, she would make me go bigfooting every weekend, but I still like to fish and I like to hunt, so sometimes I'll sneak off and do that. Sometimes I just lay around here from working 60 hours in a week and go, whew, I don't want to go nowhere. But normally during the fall, winter, and spring, we normally get out as much as we can because once the temperatures get up 90 to 100 degrees, I don't like going out there, and I don't like picking the ticks off of me, the seed ticks, and I don't like dealing with the mosquitoes. What are you going to add to all that, Mark?
That's pretty much it. If the leaves are off the trees, that's when I want to be out there.
Definitely. All right, this is for you, Mark. Lane Goodspeed asks, how fast can you leap out of a hammock?
Oh, I'm going to tell you, if something bad goes down when you're in a hammock, you might as well just suck it up because
Yeah.
because these hammocks, a lot of times when we go, it's winter time and you've got blankets underneath you, blankets on top of you, and you got a zipper that you've got to get to, and it's two zippers. You got to zip one zipper one way, another zipper another. You've got to somehow unzip the sleeping bag, get out from underneath the covers, get your feet out so that you can swing them. I mean, it's bad enough when you got to get out and pee. You know, you're sitting there going, oh crap, oh crap, oh crap.
That's the truth.
So I can't imagine if something was going down and you were having to get out quick. You might as well just grab your pistol and hold on.
Yeah, the two hammocks Mark and I have, we have Clark hammocks and they're enclosed. You can unzip a zipper and it will go to a mesh top like a bug shield where air will get in, or you can totally close it in like a tent. So in that thing, you're not going to get out quick at all. Now, if I'm in my Inu, a younger person be able to get out pretty quick, but us being older, I have to do it like a swing and push myself back and get my feet under me and stand up. It wouldn't be fast. I wouldn't, like Mark said, if something happened, you just got to hang on and hope you grab your pistol or whatever and get it off of you. Because my fear is not Bigfoot. It's a mountain lion or a bear.
Yeah.
And we don't have any bears around us here that we know of. They used to inhabit this area, but they were killed out in the early 1900s. But everything is slowly reclaiming their territory again. So, and I think that may be Bigfoot also. I think they may be slowly repopulating areas that they haven't in the past. I don't know. This COVID may slow it down, but I wouldn't think it'd slow it down any more than the flu or anything else. So, Mark, do you want to get into politics and conspiracy theories and all that?
No.
I don't either. All right. Hoosier Squatch asks, Larry Mark, have you ever got into a tick nest? And my answer would be yes. At times I have had several seed ticks on me. I can remember one time my cousin and I were driving home from turkey hunting, and we started seeing these small ticks. I mean, they were covering us. So we took off our camouflage and threw it in the back of the truck and rode home in T-shirt and drawers. I remember going through McDonald's drive-thru in my T-shirt and drawers. They can be very bad. And what's worse is the person working the window didn't even look and didn't even care. I guess they see rednecks in T-shirts and drawers all the time. I don't know. But that's the worst one I ever got into. I don't know if Mark's had any.
No, not bad. I mean, there's been times that, you get into sea ticks or chiggers or whatever, but as far as a nest of them, I have not. I use a lot of DEET when we're out in the summertime, and
It's stuff gives me a headache.
Yeah. I just saw where our friend Rick Wells II logged on. Rick,
Yep.
it's good to see you, my friend. He's a good feller.
Yes, he is. All right. I don't know if I missed any questions or not. I think that was the last question. And you've talked a long time. You said this show wouldn't go 30 minutes. You're an hour and a half.
uh,
Wait, we got one more question from JJ. What time of year do you think Bigfoot are the most active? And
it'd be speculation because it's really when we're out there, and it's like I said earlier, it's when the leaves are off the trees and things are cooler or cold, and so that's when we see more activity. But I believe it's just because we're out there more, so it would just be speculation on my part.
yeah, well, my speculation is they are probably more active whenever we ain't out there in the 90 and 100 degrees with the leaves on the trees.
Yeah.
Because they can freely move around, but I'm not there to say that. Oh. Debbie Jones says Kobe has an audio recorded on his phone and needs y'all to tell him how to send it to y'all. You can handle that, Mark.
That, if you can, there are converters, free converters that you can get off the internet, and it just matters what format it is. But you would maybe want to Google the format that the audio is in now, and then put 2 behind it, TO, and then a space, and then put MP3 space, and then put converter, and just pick one of the free ones, and then load your audio up, into a file, like save it, like upload it from your phone to your computer, and
email it out.
And yeah.
Shelly already put the email address up there for him. Uh-oh. Darcy Brommel asks, how long do you guys see yourselves doing active research? And I've tried to quit about a year ago, and David Jones won't let me. So
he'll wind up looking up at a judge if he tries to quit.
I mean, I can already tell it's getting harder for me to get around because I'm 51. I'm not 20 no more, but I will still be going out as long as I can. I know our good buddy Dan Rickey is older than me, and he still gets around great. If I can get around like him, I may be 70 out there, 75. I don't know. It depends on the knees and the hips.
All right.
Mark's only got 2 more years, I think.
Yeah. I have a lot of health problems. A lot of people don't know, but I do. I have a lot of health problems, and as Bear says, I have to, what is it he says? I have to know my limitations. And so I'm able to pace myself. A lot of times if we're going in deep, the fellers will go ahead of us, and I'll meet y'all there. And Larry don't usually let that happen because
I'm not going to leave him.
Because Larry is a protector.
I don't leave nobody behind whenever we're on a hiking trail. I don't like it. I don't care. If it takes 3 days for us to get somewhere, I'm going to make sure we get there. All right, Louis Pajarski asks, do you guys think Bigfoots have like a base camp? And I would say no, because if they did, we would have definite trails to follow them back to that base camp. We would their excrement and other things would be giving them away. Their food supply would run out quick because they're big and they eat a lot. I think are forced to move around just because of their size and they're wanting to stay hidden. And they are smart enough not to deplete their food in an area.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion. And I'm nobody with no doctorate on Bigfoot. I'm somebody stumbling around the woods trying to figure it out myself.
It's speculation, but if you look at other animals in the animal kingdom, you know, if an animal has, some animals have a 3-mile travel route and other animals may have a 200-mile travel route. And so that's where your recorders come in, because you can set out a recorder because that the critter we're looking for may not come through there, but once a week, once every 2 weeks, or maybe once a month. And so that is a tool in your arsenal that you can use for your advantage.
Now, when you get into the underground theories and all that, anything's a possibility. And I mean, if they're secure and hidden, I don't know, but you can look in a cow pasture and you can see the way the cows travel. They wear out a trail to the trough, to the water hole, and a Bigfoot is not going to do that. He's not going to make himself known to us if he can keep from it. So they may have a favorite oak tree they like to hang out under once every 3 months, or like Mark said, once a month, once every 3 months. They may have a general area they feel safe in, but I think they're going to move around enough not to leave any definite sign that you're going to stumble up and say, hey, this is where he comes at 5 o'clock in the morning to sleep till dinner or whatever.
Yeah. And you look at a deer's travel route, that deer could tell you where every white oak tree is on that travel route.
Right. And Lewis says the reason he asked that, I think he's talking about the Albert Osman story. Is it Osman or Altman? Anyway, where they took him back in that underground cave with the female, the male, and the younger one, and he got them to eat tobacco and ran out of there and left. I think that's kind of what he's talking about, is why he asked that question. But like I said, the underground thing, I mean, it's confusing to me how a 10-foot tall animal, 9 foot, 8 foot, can be out in the same woods that I'm walking around turkey hunting or deer hunting and I don't see it. So do they go underground? I don't know. There's theories that they do. There's theories, all kinds of theories. And until somebody follows one to their lair and kills it where everybody sees it, or finds a dead body, or I don't know. We can all speculate. We have our ideas, but there's not many facts. Is there many facts in this?
I don't think so.
They ain't none by me anyway.
Yeah.
So anyway, Lewis, what I just said is I have no clue. All right. I believe that catches us up on the final question.
Okay, great. We're over an hour and a half into this, and it's really gone by fast. And let's see, I'm going to touch on one thing. I had several people ask me about the new music that we've been playing. And I don't consider myself a musician, but I do rattle around on different instruments. and I call it slopola. And but I've got a lot of musician friends and that put up with me, and so, and like I said earlier, I'm kind of a sentimental guy, and so I don't have to worry about getting flagged with copyright infringements if it's original music. So y'all make sure you watch at the end, because I have added my friends the songs that they have donated to the channel. And if you are a musician and want to donate a song, then I will add it. And let me tell you something. That Larry Ports II is a talented guy. He is brushing up on his guitar playing. He's brushing up on it. And we are going to record him sometime. It might be a year from now. I don't know, but
it might be 20.
but we're
indeed.
Well, we're going to work up something with Larry, and we're going to get his name in the musical credits.
Oh my.
And Larry, I'm going to spring this up on you.
Uh-oh.
A knife. Which is something that you always want on you, especially if you go to the bathroom. Would you like to tell why we need knives when we go to the bathroom? Okay.
We'll save that one.
Okay, we'll save that one. It's kind of a long story.
It's a good one, but it's long.
Yeah.
Oh, not butters.
Well, I tell you what, have we got any more questions that slipped in at the end?
Only Why Are You Turning Red, Larry, by Barry Browning, and I'm not going to answer it. I didn't see any Just Louis Fajerski saying you guys had the best show. It's why it lasts so long every time. I think it's because we're a couple of babbling cuckoos.
Well, Larry, why don't you give us your final thoughts on tonight's show?
Well, I enjoyed it. I mean, it's always good to try to answer the questions that our favorite people ask, and that's why we did this show. We're by no means no experts on this subject. We've had some experiences, and we don't mind sharing our experiences and what knowledge we do have, but some of these answers are opinions, and we say they're opinions whenever we answer them that way, but we enjoy letting y'all get to know us a little bit better by asking some questions other than the last one that Mark asked. But we always have fun. We try to treat this show like people sitting around the campfire. Even with our guests, we want them to feel comfortable, and some of the best knowledge you'll ever hear comes from campfire talk, and that's why we try to do this show that way, like campfire talk, where we're all relaxed and just sharing ideas and thoughts, and that's why we tried to include y'all into this and ask the questions. And sometimes the best questions of the night come from y'all. So that's great. We're not professional talk show hosts that ask professional questions. We're just asking curious questions that we have to our guests, just like y'all are asking questions to us and the guests about curiosities y'all have, or thoughts or ideas. And that's what this is about. So I thank y'all for tuning in to us and listening to us babble about our Bigfoot knowledge, I guess. That's my final thought.
Well, I really can't add much more to that other than saying our audience is the best. And we love our audience. And if it was up to me, I would like to share a campfire with each and every one of y'all. So, with that said, I would like to brag on all of the new members that we are getting on our Facebook page. I probably spend about 15 minutes a week on Facebook, and Shelly has really taken it by the reins. And because I don't know, we're adding so many people every day. And so we want to thank everybody that has come on board on our Facebook page. And there is just a wealth of information on there that we have. And if you'll go to our files tab, you can see some of the things on there. Just recently, one of our friends, Jinky, was in law enforcement, and he added protocols that the police department uses, and he added a thing for like a first aid kit. And that's something that you probably always want to think about, because if something happens out in the middle of nowhere, even duct tape would stop a gash from bleeding. So there's just a lot of things on there. And so if you're new, just look around on our page. And if you have questions, feel free to ask, because that's what we're here for. We want to thank all of our new subscribers and our faithful followers. Also, be sure to check out our field evidence videos, and check out our sister channel, Beast of the Woods. That's Larry's channel. I love Larry's channel. We do these podcasts and videos for you. So if you want to help us out, click the like button, ring the bell, and leave us a comment. It helps us with the YouTube recommendations, and we really appreciate it. We read every comment, answer them. So thank y'all that have sent comments on a regular basis. And if you haven't, just make sure you hit that like button for us. Larry and I would like to thank Sally and Shelly and Debbie for all the behind the scenes work that they do. And thanks to our moderators that help keeps our chat room kid friendly. Thanks again to each of you for watching, and we will see you again. Same bat time, same bat channel. Night night, footers.
This has been a Sawdust production.